for just a little bit. Uh, so let me click back out so that I can use my little mouse here. All right. So missing the whole section right here. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is remote access. Some of our systems throughout the whole United States have been hit, by hackers, and one of them was remote access was gained into the control system at a water utility in Springfield, Illinois. They actually was able to turn the pump on and off repeatedly, and basically what happens, it burned the pump out. This could have been a critical pump, and which could have caused some major damage or problems, but it was eventually caught. So, and then the next one, again, getting access to any equipment could cause major equipment failure, and it could lead to health issues for customers. At a minimum, it could lead to disruptions in service. And then we've all heard about the cyber attack in Oldsmar. The hacker remotely accessed the water treatment plant and increased the amount of sodium hydroxide to a dangerous level. But the plant operator actually quickly realized what was happening and stopped it before there was any type of damage. The system was using a program that allowed the system employees to actually remote into the computer system. And so what it looks like was the username and password was probably stolen through either a phishing scheme or a social engineering scheme. So again, there's just different ways. And we're going to talk about each one of those as we go through. So talking about Scada security, we don't want to wait another day. It's very important. Just today, I was looking in the previous presentations, I was looking through my news feed, and just today, the Washington, D.C. Police Department was breached by Russian-speaking ransomware. And it actually claimed to have stolen over 250 gigabytes of data. So, they're trying to figure out what we do now. So again, it's not something that's going to go away. It's probably going to get even worse. So what does Scada stand for? Scada can be simple, or Scada can be very elaborate and may take some training to understand. Basically, what Scada is supervisory control and data acquisition. We get asked all the time sometimes, what does Scada stand for? So I've got this written on my hand so I can always remember it. But that's basically what that is. You want to be able to get that data. You want to be able to control that data. Okay. This is talking about, it showed up differently. So this is what I was talking about, Springfield, Illinois. It showed up differently on my paper than it did in this control. And this was talking about Oldsmar that we just talked about. So we'll move on to this next slide. Even our local utilities have been hit in Florida. Lake City, I'm not sure if Lake City or Riviera Beach is on the line, but they both were hit. And basically what happens is, in order to get your information back, you have to pay. And usually you have to wind up paying in a currency called Bitcoin. It's hard to trace, and it usually doesn't get all your information back anyway. You just get bits and pieces. So you definitely want to make sure that you always have some sort of backup. But again, a good cybersecurity program is going to help you kind of get out of this issue. But always having a backup so that you don't have to pay for any of the information that's stolen is a good way to go about doing that. Ransomware is always evolving. It is always getting more and more, and it's at an alarming rate. It's very hard to trace, and it is very profitable to the attackers. So these folks are out there, they're looking for things that they can, easy ways to get in and to steal your information, or to lock you out from your information so that they can actually have you pay for it to get it back. And again, you're not going to usually always get everything back like you would hope you would. Cybersecurity is a practice of protecting your system, networks, and programs from some sort of digital attack. Um, Cyber attacks are usually aimed at accessing, changing, or destroying sensitive information. Attackers are becoming more and more innovative and very bold. They're actually, going out and hacking anything they can get their hands on. So implementing an effective cybersecurity measure, it's very important to do this. It's becoming something systems are going to have to make a priority because again, these things are happening more and more as we go through. As the attackers start to become more evolved, they're getting out there and finding ways into your system. What is cybersecurity all about? Basically, it's you have to have uh, multiple layers of protection for your computers, for your network, for your programs, for your data, um, in order to keep these threats from happening. So again, you're trying to come up with manageable ways to keep hackers from coming in. One of the biggest things that you want to do is use strong passwords. Um, we all have a tendency of using passwords that are things that we know, are things that we're comfortable with. I know people that have the same password for multiple accounts. So again, you need to use strong passwords. Does that mean that you're going to have to probably write these passwords down somewhere? More than likely you will, because you're not going to be able to remember them. But you are going to have to not put those passwords on your desktop or put them somewhere where someone can get them. So be very careful, but you definitely want to frequently change these passwords. Also be very aware of attachments in emails. We get emails all the time, all of us do, that we don't know who they're coming from. Hopefully you've got some sort of antivirus or some sort of protection on your computer that will take these emails and put them in a different folder. But if you happen to click on one, you can actually open up a virus or a bug inside of it. So a lot of times it will worm its way in, and you may not even know it's in there, and it's actually eating up your data or keeping your data from you being able to use it. So you want to make sure that you're always backing up your data often. Keep up with new technology on your protection, and then if at all possible, use multiple layers. You want to try to use as many layers as possible of protection. And a lot of times it just becomes a point to where it's just a hassle. So we don't do these things and we let our guards down. And that's when you can make yourself very vulnerable. In today's, why is cybersecurity important? In today's connected world, everyone benefits from advanced cybersecurity. Again, if you have a good cybersecurity, you can block some of these extortion attempts. There's critical infrastructure, besides water and wastewater. There's, power plants, hospitals, financial organizations, places, that are very vulnerable to being attacked. And so if we protect it, we are protecting that information. We're trying to, make sure that we don't get caught up in losing our information or our information getting out into the dark web. And then, you apply for Social Security and somebody else has already used it for you. So here's some of the types of security threats. These are things that we have seen that's popped up. Phishing. Phishing is probably one of the ones that we've dealt with the most, and basically that involves your emails. It's a practice of sending fraudulent emails, emails that resemble reputable sources, and basically it's aimed at stealing your sensitive data. It can get things like your credit card numbers, your login information, things like that. So again, these are phishing emails. So if you don't know where that email came from, best thing is not to open it. If it's important, they'll somehow get a hold of it. Ransomware is a type of malicious software. It's basically designed to extort money, okay? And it blocks access to your files. And that's what has wound up popping up here lately to a lot of our systems is they go in, they block your access to your information, and then they say for this amount of money, we'll give it back to you, okay? Malware is a type of software that's designed to gain unauthorized access to actually cause damage to your computer. They're trying to mess your computer up. Okay. And then social engineering. Social engineering is a tactic that adversaries use to trick you into revealing sensitive information. They can solicit monetary payment or gain access to your confidential data. I'm sure a lot of you probably got these emails where it says, "Oh, I am so and so from some other country, and I'm holding money for you." And, there's all kinds of emails we get like that. Those are emails that are social engineered. They're trying to get information from you. All right. When it comes to protecting your computer, we all have software updates, and we're all too busy. We're tired. Of course, here it says you want to play Pokemon Go, but for whatever reason, whenever we see this pop up, it's remind me later, remind me later. We don't want to be bothered with it because it may take 10, 15 minutes to do it. So again, when you let your software not update, you're not keeping up with the most protected way of keeping your computer safe. So again, we compromise our system, we compromise ourselves. So we want to be very careful not to just keep hitting remind me later. Scada security, not only do you have your computer, but you have subsystems. You're going to have Scada threats. The security can be management, physical, connectivity, authorization, disaster recovery. There's different levels of security. Okay. We need to protect ourselves. We need more than the preset standards that come with your computer, or come with your system. So those preset standards are just the minimum of what you need. So we need to always make sure that we have the extra to help block out. So the multiple layers of protection is what's going to help you. And then again, we're talking about subsystems, multiple ways that people can get into your system if it's not just through the phishing and the malware and the places that are actually in your computer. It could be PLCs, your programmable logic controllers, or your RTUs, your remote terminal units. There's ways that they can get in. A USB stick. A lot of people, we're used to somebody coming to the system and go, "Hey, I've got it on this hard drive, this USB stick. Let me plug this in." Well, if you know them, great, but you can put stuff on a USB that will cause your computer damage or cause your SCADA system damage. So you got to be careful of what's on that USB and who you're allowing to do that. You need to keep a track of who's been at your system and who's put in these USB into your systems. Okay. SCADA threats. Again, most everyone agrees that cyber attacks are high. Almost 70% believe that it's something that is, that's happening on a regular basis, and it is a threat. So again, it's awareness. We all know it, but are we doing anything about it? Again, this slide is basically telling you that most people believe malware is probably one of the highest threat. Internal threats, external threats, phishing scams, industrial espionage. Again, these are all different types of threats here. I will tell you again that the ransomware is something that we are we are seeing a lot, along with the phishing schemes. Those are the two that are really taking off more and more. Some of the vulnerabilities, again, are increased exposure. We are having more and more people that are exposed to our system. More and more people are getting their hands on that, communication networks, linking smart grid devices and systems. The more we linked things together, we'll create more access points. It will increase the exposure to potential more attacks. The more we connect networks together also is going to increase this risk. Complexity. The electrical systems will become more and more complex as more subsystems are linked together. And then our increased automation. Our smart grid systems will increase the use of common commercially available computing technologies. Everything's starting to get more complex, and things are being interconnected together. So these are more doors that are being opened for people to get into. Basically, you have data security, and we've always heard that term, garbage in, garbage out, when it comes to computers and things like that. Well, it's the same thing with data security. You can have the firewalls, the encryption, the antiviruses, the softwares, but then you can have the Daves. You can have the human error. If the person is not up on cybersecurity, you can easily have trouble. So again, whoever you're gonna put in charge of cybersecurity needs to know exactly what they're doing. You don't want to just place anybody behind that screen. Talking about Director Comey. He just made a statement about cybersecurity when he was in office. There must be a collective effort by governments to produce continuous report on security status of critical infrastructure and related SCADA systems. The security component must become part of the project of the industrial system. It must be considered a specific requirement. The overall security of critical infrastructure must be audited during the entire life cycle of the component. That last sentence is the one that's most important. Throughout the whole time you have any type of security, you have to audit it through the whole life cycle. You have to look for changes. You have to look for ways in. You have to have tests. You have to test your security system. Does it work? Is it still relevant? Recently, the head of the FBI, DHS, and National Counterterrorism Center have declared cyber attacks are the most likely form of terrorist against the United States in the coming years. This is where the bad guys will go. There are no safe neighborhoods, and all of our neighbors are online. Or more and more people are becoming, they're getting online. They're doing their banking online. They're doing, all of their bill paying online. So these are vulnerable places. Cybersecurity life cycle. Basically, you have to go in and you have to identify the risk. Where can people get into my system? Where are the weak points? Then you're going to implement some type of control, and then you're going to evaluate whether it works or not. And that's going to be a continuous cycle. You're going to continuously looking for ways that people can get in, implement controls, and evaluate to see if they're working. SCADA system protection must be approached at different levels. Defending control systems, educating operational maintenance personnel. Training should also include specific operational topics on spear phishing, zero-day activities, managing internal threats along with external threats. So there's a lot of training that goes along with SCADA. Again, management has a critical role in security. It needs to assign a cybersecurity role. You got to have the right people in the right place. You need to have a detailed security policy. It describes the roles. Each employee must be informed of all of this, and then procedures need to be adopted. The goal of the management is to define the structure of the program, mandate any type of requirements that's expected, provide personnel with formalized policies and procedures and training if need be. Again, and if you have someone over your SCADA system, you have to make sure that they're aware of what they're doing and hold them accountable. Okay. It says here, achieving security by design is essential in securing critical infrastructure. Cybersecurity must be embedded in the systems and the networks at the very beginning of the design process, so it becomes an internal part of the systems and functioning. Anytime you're going to bring in new technology, or you're going to start a SCADA system, or you're putting in something that will allow the outside people to get in, you have to be thinking about cybersecurity. It needs to be at the forefront when you're putting these in. Waiting till it's already done may be too late. Okay. All plants, again, all plants have, or all plants that host SCADA systems and networks must be assessed. You have to test these systems. You can't just, throw up a cybersecurity system or a SCADA security and then hope it just continues to run on its own. So you always need to be testing and assessing your SCADA system and the accessibility to it. Physical restrictions, these are just some restrictions. You want to restrict the access to the site. You don't want just anybody being able to get on your site. Restrict the number of technicians that are responsible for the maintenance. Try not to let people use mobile support or coming in from the outside, linking in. Segregate your control networks. Each computer should be locked and restricted when you're not using it. Also, configure your network appliance, adopt firewalls, make sure there's some type of intrusion detection systems. Implement security features. Talk with your SCADA vendors. Your SCADA vendors they're invested in this. They want to make sure that their SCADA system is not being able to be hacked either. So talk to them. They can help you. And then audit your network. Make sure that it's a good network. It's not something that anybody can easily get into. Okay. Here it says map out the document entire the networks. Make sure that you prepare and configure new equipment offline. When you're trying to configure or prepare a piece of equipment, you can do that offline and then put it online. You don't want it to be vulnerable before you're actually, where people can get on it. Sanitize old equipment. If you're going to throw something away, some type of computer or anything that has information on it, wipe it clean, get rid of it. Make sure that you enable auditing features and periodically examine those features. Have log where people are going to get into your system, have them log in so you have their information, who logged in, when, where. And then always make sure you have a disaster recovery plan. What am I going to do if I do get ransomware and they're asking me to pay this? Where do I go to get all my information back? Have I done the backups? What's my plan? Okay, don't be left out in the cold, looking for someone to, come up with the money to pay folks. Okay. Again, strong passwords. Make sure that you have good passwords. Identify any type of access where people can get in. Have your systems checked. Have someone try to get in. We've done that before. We've had people that try to get in the network and show us. Have internal and external detection systems. Again, something that will let you know if someone's trying to get into your system. And then again, always audit that system. Adopt a redundant hardware. Again, you're going to turn around and try to have backups, whether it's in the cloud anymore. I mean, today people are backing things up on the cloud, or whether you do it the old way and you back it up to to a hard drive somewhere, one that you keep locked up. Always have some fallback mechanisms, system backup procedures, and then routinely exercise a disaster recovery. Routinely have, hey, our information has been locked down. What are we going to do? And then again, every change to the overall system is going to trigger a review of the plan. Every time something is changed, the architecture's changed, passwords change, things are changed, you want to review that plan and make sure that that plan still is up to date and is going to allow you to do what you want it to do. Governments and private companies must be able to run simulations of attacks during exercises that have the intent of identifying potential attack scenarios, and then you're going to evaluate those vulnerabilities. If you don't run tests on things, if you don't do exercises, then you don't know how to handle situations. Anytime a situation pops up, if you don't know, then you're not going to be able to do that. Okay. Here's some references. These are just some references for your information. And I'm sure that any of these presentations that we're doing today, if you want any of these presentations, I'm sure you can contact our office and they'll probably provide them for you. I'm not sure if we'll put them on the website or not, but yeah, they're saying we'll put them on the website. So they'll be on the website. You'll be able to get these presentations. These are just some links that will take you to multiple different security things, cybersecurity, Scada security, different things like that. So these are just things that will help you throughout time. So again, one of the most important things is making sure that you have good backups. You have reputable security people, Scada people. You're always trying to make sure that new technology, they're using the best technology, the up-to-date technology that you can. Change your passwords as much as possible. Strong passwords, not my last name and 123. So again, you just want to make sure that, no one's going to just guess, your favorite football team and your favorite jersey number. So again, make these things where people are not going to guess them, make it harder for them, because there are people out there that this is what they do. And if they get into your system, they're going to lock you down. And we've had more and more of our systems deal with this. Luckily, a lot of our operators have caught, them before it got too long, but some of them have paid the price. And, yes, your insurance company pays the majority of it, but you still have to pay that. And even if your insurance company pays it, the price of your insurance is going to go up if they don't drop you. So cybersecurity is something that's not going to go away, and we need to make sure that we're prepared for it. Now that kind of finishes up me. So if there is any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I believe we have another presentation on some security coming up right behind me, and I think it's Mr. Kevin Strickland. But I'm going to end my presentation now.